Have you ever left a conversation feeling disturbed, even though nothing obviously went wrong? No argument, no raised voices, no harsh words. Just a quiet interaction that somehow unsettled you. Hours later, it still lingers. You replay it in your mind while driving, while lying in bed, while staring at the ceiling. Something didn't sit right, but you can't immediately explain why. That confusion is not accidental. It is often the first signal that manipulation has already taken place. Most people believe manipulation looks aggressive, loud, obvious, cruel. But the most dangerous manipulation is subtle. It feels calm, polite, even intelligent. It doesn't demand. It suggests. It doesn't accuse. It questions. And slowly, without force, it pulls you away from your own certainty. You begin doubting your reactions, you second-guess your emotions, you question your memory. And that's the goal. A manipulator doesn't need to overpower you. They only need to make you unsure of yourself. Marcus Aurelius understood this centuries ago when he wrote, "The truth is simple. Deceit is tangled. Truth is clean, direct, stable. Deception, on the other hand, is complicated. It wraps itself around your perception. It knots itself into your thoughts until clarity feels impossible." But here's the good news. Once you learn to recognize the knots, they lose their power. Once you can name the tactic, it stops working. In this lesson, we are going to slowly uncover 7 questions manipulators use to fracture your sense of reality, and how Stoic awareness protects your peace from emotional predators. Because once you understand the game, you stop playing it. You stop explaining yourself. You stop shrinking your truth. You stop apologizing for clarity. Before we go further, ground yourself with this intention. I protect my peace with truth. Not with anger, not with revenge, but with awareness. 1. Why are you so sensitive? This question almost never comes aggressively. It arrives casually. Sometimes it's paired with a laugh, sometimes with a sigh, sometimes with a tone that sounds almost caring. Why are you so sensitive? They say it as if they're genuinely confused, as if they are trying to understand you. But pay attention to what happens inside you the moment you hear it. Your body tightens. Your mind stalls. You hesitate. You start searching yourself for fault. Maybe I misunderstood. Maybe I took it too personally. Maybe I'm reading too much into it. And just like that, the focus shifts. Not from what they did, but from how you reacted. This is not a harmless question. It is a psychological maneuver designed to make you doubt your inner experience. Manipulation does not work by overpowering your mind. It works by turning your mind against itself. The liar doesn't attack your perception directly. That would alert you. Instead, they imply your perception is flawed. This question carries an unspoken message. Your feelings are unreliable. Your reaction is excessive. Your reality cannot be trusted. And once you internalize that message, control has already changed hands. You begin editing yourself. You soften your words. You silence your instincts. You hesitate before expressing discomfort. You apologize for emotions that never needed forgiveness. No argument required. No confrontation needed. The manipulator has shifted the power dynamic without raising their voice. Once you accept the label, too sensitive, they no longer need to argue with you. You'll censor yourself for them. But here's the truth Stoicism reveals. A truth manipulators despise. Sensitivity is not weakness. Sensitivity is awareness. People who feel deeply notice things others miss. Changes in tone. Inconsistencies in behavior. Emotional undercurrents. Unspoken tension. Empathy sharpens perception. And manipulators hate that, because sensitivity exposes what they work hard to conceal. That's why they dismiss you when you speak up. That's why they joke when confronted. That's why they say things like, "Relax. It was just a joke. You're overthinking." But Stoicism teaches something radically different. Your emotions are not enemies. They are messengers. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, it is not the thing itself that troubles you, but your judgment about it." This line is often misunderstood. He was not telling you to suppress emotion. He was teaching you to interpret it. Emotions are information. They reveal where values are violated. They show where boundaries are crossed. A Stoic does not reject emotion. He refines it. You can feel anger without letting it rule you. You can feel hurt without surrendering clarity. You can feel discomfort without losing self-control. So when someone calls you sensitive, pause. Do not react. Do not defend. Do not explain. Breathe. And ask yourself this quiet question. Why does my emotional awareness threaten them? Often, the answer is uncomfortable. For them. Because your clarity shines a light on behavior they don't want examined. A manipulator's greatest fear is not confrontation. It is being seen clearly. That's why they minimize. That's why they deflect. That's why they project. Truth burns. Stoic practice. Turning emotion into evidence. Here's a Stoic exercise that builds unshakable self-trust. Each time someone questions your reaction, write down the exact words they used, the emotion that surfaced inside you, the context in which it happened. No analysis, no justification, just record. Over days and weeks, patterns will emerge. You'll notice certain people always question your feelings. You'll see repeated moments where your discomfort is dismissed. You'll realize it's not your sensitivity that's the problem. It's their avoidance of accountability. The Stoics called this self-examination, turning emotion into evidence instead of self-doubt. Seneca once said, "No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity, for he is not permitted to prove himself." To feel deeply in a shallow world is not a curse. It is proof that you are still awake. The Stoic path is not about killing emotion. It is about mastering perception. You learn to hold your fire without losing your flame. So the next time someone leans in and asks, "Why are you so sensitive?" do not shrink. Do not apologize. Look them in the eye. Breathe deeply. And anchor yourself in this truth. You are not sensitive. You are perceptive. You see what others deny. And that is exactly why liars fear you. 2. Are you sure that really happened? This question is delivered softly, almost gently. They tilt their head. Their voice lowers. Their expression looks thoughtful, even concerned. Are you sure that really happened? At first, it sounds reasonable, responsible even. After all, memory isn't perfect, right? But pay attention to what happens inside you when you hear it. Your confidence wavers. The memory that once felt clear suddenly blurs. You begin replaying the event in your mind. The argument, the comment, the betrayal, and doubt slips in. Maybe I remembered it wrong. Maybe I misunderstood their intention. Maybe I'm exaggerating. This is not a search for clarity. This is gaslighting, in its most refined form. Gaslighting doesn't begin with denial. It begins with suggestion. A skilled manipulator doesn't erase your truth. They invite you to doubt it. They understand something most people never consciously realize. If they can make you unsure of your perception, they don't need to change reality. Your mind will do the work for them. This question carries a hidden command. Let me rewrite your memory. And once you allow that, you slowly become dependent on them to define what's real. That's how emotional control tightens its grip, not through force, but through confusion. Stoicism teaches that perception is the first battlefield of the mind. Epictetus wrote, "We suffer not from events, but from our judgment about them." Manipulators understand this principle instinctively. They know if they can alter your judgment, they don't need to alter the event. You will begin questioning yourself automatically. And that is why Stoic awareness is a shield. It trains you to separate what actually happened from the story someone wants you to believe about it. Here's something important to remember. Truth does not fade. Confusion does. If someone genuinely cares about you, they help you clarify reality, not cloud it. They don't question your entire perception. They ask for understanding. They seek mutual clarity. A manipulator does the opposite. They question. Then they wait. Then they watch you spiral. And once you're uncertain, they step in as the reasonable one. Suddenly, you are the unreliable narrator. This is not conversation. It is psychological positioning. The Stoics believed memory was a moral responsibility. Marcus Aurelius didn't write Meditations for an audience. He wrote it to preserve reality. His thoughts, his observations, his struggles with self-deception. It was a defense against confusion, especially his own. You can do the same. Each time someone makes you doubt what happened, take a pen and write. What did I see? What did I hear? What did I feel? What do I know for certain? This is not therapy. This is training. A reality journal anchors you when others try to move the ground beneath your feet. Modern manipulators rely on one thing more than anything else: your silence. If they can make you question your memory internally, they never have to argue externally. But when you document reality, you reclaim power. Over time, patterns reveal themselves. You'll notice certain people always question your perception. You'll see how often your certainty threatens them. You'll recognize who benefits when you doubt yourself. Stoicism reminds you, memory is not weakness, it is integrity. Seneca said, "The truth is not lost, it is abandoned." Do not abandon yours. You saw what you saw. You felt what you felt. You know what you know. And the next time someone asks, "Are you sure that really happened?" Don't argue. Don't explain. Don't try to convince. Smile inwardly, and remember this: your clarity is your armor. Write it down before they try to rewrite it. 3. Don't you trust me? This question sounds intimate, almost vulnerable. Don't you trust me? On the surface, it feels emotional, even romantic, like an appeal to closeness. But underneath, it's one of the most manipulative questions ever crafted, because it turns self-protection into betrayal. The moment you hesitate, the trap snaps shut. What they're really saying is, prove your loyalty by ignoring your instincts. And once you do that once, they'll expect it forever. This is emotional blackmail disguised as affection. Trust, one of the most sacred human bonds, is turned into a weapon. You start feeling guilty for being cautious, ashamed for questioning, responsible for their emotional comfort. But real trust doesn't work like that. Real trust is built slowly, quietly, through consistency. It is earned through actions, not demanded through words. When someone has to ask for your trust, it's often because they've already compromised it. Manipulators use this question when facts don't align, when timelines blur, when explanations shift. Instead of addressing inconsistencies, they appeal to your emotions. They know kind people value harmony. They know empathetic people hate conflict. So they hide behind those virtues. They use your empathy as a shield against your logic. Stoicism warns against this. Seneca wrote, "Confidence is born from character, not persuasion." You don't earn trust by asking for it. You earn it by being trustworthy. A Stoic does not offer blind faith. He observes. He measures. He waits. Epictetus warned that misplaced trust is not kindness. It is self-neglect. So the next time someone says, "Don't you trust me?" Pause. Breathe. Notice your body. The tightening in your chest. The subtle unease. These are not signs of paranoia. They are signals of wisdom. Here is a Stoic practice that reveals truth over time. For each person you interact with regularly, write down 3 things. 1. What they say. 2. What they do. 3. What remains consistent over time, review it every few weeks. Patterns will emerge effortlessly. Manipulators hate written clarity, because it exposes what charm tries to conceal. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." If your thoughts are colored with guilt for protecting yourself, you'll live trapped in others' expectations. But when they're colored with truth and self-respect, you reclaim your power. Trust is not a gift you hand to anyone who asks. It is a mirror reflecting the truth of their behavior. And sometimes, the most Stoic act of love is walking away from those who keep asking for what they've never earned. So when someone looks at you and asks, "Don't you trust me?" you can finally smile and answer, silently, "I trust patterns, not promises." 4. Why would I lie to you? This question is rarely spoken sharply. It comes wrapped in offense, in wounded pride, in disbelief that you would even consider such a thing. Why would I lie to you? The tone suggests you've crossed a line, as if your doubt is more insulting than any inconsistency they've shown. And suddenly, something shifts. You were about to question a detail, about to point out a contradiction, about to speak a truth that made them uncomfortable. But now, you hesitate. You don't want to seem paranoid. You don't want to appear unfair. You don't want to damage the relationship. So you pull back. And just like that, the spotlight moves. From their behavior to your doubt. This is one of the oldest manipulation tactics in human psychology, the illusion of moral superiority. When someone asks, "Why would I lie to you?" They are not answering the question. They are shaming you for asking it. They imply that dishonesty is beneath them, that their character alone should erase your concerns, that their role in your life grants them automatic credibility. But Stoicism teaches something vital. Honest people do not need to declare their honesty. They demonstrate it. Liars, on the other hand, rely on emotional leverage. They understand guilt better than most. They know many people would rather accept a comfortable story than confront a painful truth. So they hide behind your kindness, your patience, your desire to believe the best. Stoicism calls this confusion of hope with evidence. Marcus Aurelius warned himself, "If someone deceives you, it is because you chose to trust your hope instead of your reason." Hope is beautiful, but hope without discernment becomes vulnerability. A Stoic mind does not search for truth in words alone. It watches patterns across time. Because lies can be told once, but inconsistency reveals itself repeatedly. Look closely at the person who insists they would never lie to you. Notice how often they avoid specifics, how they forget details, how they change the subject, how humor appears when precision is required. That is not confusion. It is strategy. They are not trying to prove truth. They are trying to manage your doubt. When faced with this question, your greatest power is not debate. It is stillness. You do not need to prove they are lying. You do not need to corner them with logic. You do not need to win the argument. Time will do that for you. Stoicism teaches that truth requires no defense. When words and behavior contradict each other, silence becomes evidence. Not silence born of fear, but silence born of clarity. This kind of silence is not surrender. It is strength. It allows narratives to collapse under their own weight. For the next 7 days, resist the urge to correct inconsistencies. Instead, observe record. Stay grounded. Write down moments where words and actions diverge. Note emotional reactions. Track patterns, not excuses. By the end of the week, you will no longer be confused. You will see clearly, not their stories, but their character. Epictetus wrote, "The wise man never fears the truth. Liars fear truth because truth removes control. They depend on your reassurance, your willingness to overlook, your need for emotional safety. But when you remain calm, observant, and unreactive, their performance begins to fail. So the next time someone asks, 'Why would I lie to you?' do not rush to believe. Do not rush to defend. Do not rush to explain. Pause, look, and let silence speak. Because words can charm, but patterns never lie." 5. Why can't you just move on? This question almost always arrives after the damage is done. After the lie. After the betrayal. After the abandonment. After the lack of accountability. They return with a calm voice and a sentence sharp enough to reopen every wound. Why can't you just move on? It sounds reasonable, mature, even wise. But underneath it carries a cruel message. Why won't you forget what I did so I can stop feeling guilty? This question is not about your healing. It is about their comfort. It is not an invitation to closure. It is a demand for silence. And it works because it attacks a vulnerable part of you. The part that wants to appear strong. The part that wants to seem unaffected. The part that doesn't want to look stuck. You begin judging yourself for still caring. Shaming yourself for still hurting. Blaming yourself for remembering. And just like that, responsibility shifts. From their actions to your recovery. Stoicism rejects this completely. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "What stands in the way becomes the way." Pain is not an obstacle to healing, it is the process. To move on prematurely is to bury a wound alive. The Stoic does not flee discomfort. He studies it. He asks, what truth is this pain revealing? What lesson is demanding integration? Modern culture says healing means forgetting. Stoicism teaches something deeper. Healing means remembering without resentment. You do not move forward by pretending nothing happened. You move forward by transforming experience into wisdom. The wound becomes a teacher, not a prison. That is the difference between suppression and transcendence. So when someone tells you to move on, ask yourself, who benefits from my forgetting? Often it is the one who caused the harm. They want peace without repair, closure without consequence, comfort without accountability. But peace built on denial is not peace. It is anesthesia. And Stoicism refuses that illusion. Seneca wrote, "What need is there to weep over parts of life? The whole of it calls for tears. He wasn't glorifying suffering. He was honoring honesty, the Stoic closure ritual. Write a letter you will never send. Write everything. What hurt? What was denied? What was never acknowledged? Then burn it. Not to erase the memory, but to transform it. Fire does not destroy truth. It purifies it. When the smoke rises, let go of the need for their apology. You do not need permission to heal. The Stoic heals not through denial, but through digestion, taking in the lesson without swallowing the poison. So when they ask again, why can't you just move on? You won't defend your healing. You'll breathe, stand grounded, and remember, you do not owe anyone your peace. You owe yourself your truth. 6. Why are you making this about you? This question cuts deeper than most, because it doesn't just challenge your version of events. It challenges your right to speak at all. It usually appears at the moment you finally gather the courage to be honest. You say, "That hurt me. That crossed a line. I didn't deserve that." And instead of reflection, they look at you with disbelief, almost pity. Why are you making this about you? The shift is instant. Suddenly, your pain becomes selfishness. Your honesty becomes ego. Your boundary becomes an accusation. The original issue disappears. Now you're defending yourself. Why you spoke. Why you feel this way. Why you're not just letting it go. This is not misunderstanding. This is role inversion. One of the most effective manipulation tactics there is. They flip the emotional script so that the person who caused harm becomes reasonable. The person who names harm becomes the problem. And if you're a kind, self-aware, reflective person, this tactic works especially well. Because you already question yourself. You already worry about being too much. You already examine your motives. The manipulator exploits that. They know if they can make you feel guilty for speaking up once, you'll hesitate next time. And eventually, you'll silence yourself. But Stoicism draws a clear, unbreakable line here. Self-awareness is not self-absorption. There is a difference between making everything about you and taking responsibility for your inner world. Epictetus said, "First tell yourself what kind of person you want to be." The Stoic looks inward not to center the universe around himself, but to govern his reactions. To say, "This is who I choose to be," regardless of how others behave. That is not ego. That is discipline. When someone says, "Why are you making this about you?" what they are really doing is protecting their comfort. They want the conversation to orbit around your tone, your timing, your delivery, your emotions, anything except their behavior. They hope you'll get lost defending your intentions while they avoid accountability. Do not play that game. The Stoic response is not emotional defense. It is calm observation. The 3 questions Stoic filter. When accused of selfishness for expressing pain, silently ask yourself, 1. Am I seeking truth or attention? 2. Am I stating facts or assigning blame? 3. Does my intention align with my values? If the answer is yes, remain grounded. Do not over-explain. Do not negotiate your sincerity. Do not shrink your truth to preserve their comfort. Your peace does not require their approval. You can anchor yourself with a single Stoic sentence. It's about me because I am responsible for me. That is not arrogance. That is stewardship. You are the guardian of your mind, boundaries, energy. If you do not take responsibility for your inner world, someone else will, and they will weaponize it against you. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "When you blame others, you give away your power." The reverse is also true. When others blame you for speaking truth, they reveal their fear of losing power. People who are at peace with themselves do not gaslight others for having boundaries. They listen, they reflect, they adjust. Manipulators accuse. So the next time someone says, "Why are you making this about you?" do not shrink, do not argue, do not rush to justify. Breathe deeply. Meet their gaze. Let silence hold the space. Because the Stoic understands this. Awareness is not ego. It is integrity. And integrity never needs permission to exist. 7. Do you really think you're perfect? This question usually appears at a very specific moment. Not at the beginning. Not during confusion. But right when you finally speak with clarity. You point out a pattern. You name a contradiction. You hold someone accountable without anger. And instead of reflection, they smirk. Do you really think you're perfect? The question sounds logical, almost fair. But it isn't curiosity. It is an attack. A calculated move meant to strip you of moral ground. Because suddenly, you're no longer talking about what they did. You're defending your right to speak at all. This tactic is called moral deflection. Instead of addressing behavior, they question your character. Instead of facing truth, they demand humility. And if you're a person of integrity, this works. Because you know you're not perfect. You don't want to appear arrogant. You don't want to seem judgmental. So you rush to soften. You over-explain. You apologize for your tone. You minimize your clarity. And in doing so, you abandon the truth you were standing on. That is exactly what the manipulator wants. They weaponize your integrity against you. Stoicism draws a powerful distinction here. Humility does not mean silence in the face of falsehood. Seneca wrote, "He who corrects others should first correct himself, but he should still speak." Notice the balance. The Stoic begins with self-examination, but he does not stop there. To see wrong and say nothing is not humility. It is fear disguised as virtue. The wise person seeks truth, not approval. When someone asks, "Do you really think you're perfect?" what they are actually doing is trying to equalize guilt. If everyone is flawed, then no one is responsible. If no one is responsible, then nothing has to change. Good people often over-own responsibility. Manipulators know this. They rely on your conscience to carry their weight. But clarity does not require perfection. It only requires honesty. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, "If anyone can show me that I am wrong, I will gladly change. For I seek the truth, which never harmed anyone." That is the Stoic posture. Open to correction, but immune to manipulation. You can admit imperfection without surrendering truth. The difference lies in intention. Are you speaking to punish, or are you speaking to reveal? If your intention is integrity, stand firm. The Stoic reset sentence. Here's a response that disarms this tactic instantly. No, I just think what happened deserves honesty. That's it. No debate, no explanation, no defense. It resets the frame. It brings the conversation back to behavior, not ego. Stoicism teaches that control of tone is control of power. When you remain calm while they escalate, you expose their avoidance. Manipulation feeds on guilt. But guilt only controls you if you believe it belongs to you. The Stoic understands this. Truth does not need to be loud to be strong. It does not need to humiliate to illuminate. It stands firm, quiet, unshakable. Seneca wrote, "To be calm in correction is a sign of greatness." So the next time someone sneers, "Do you really think you're perfect?" Take a breath. Let compassion replace anger. Let clarity replace defensiveness. And remind yourself, I don't need to be perfect to tell the truth. I only need to be brave enough to see it. 8. The Stoic Shield. How to disarm manipulation. By now, you may have noticed something important. Every manipulative question we've examined. Why are you so sensitive? Are you sure that really happened? Don't you trust me? Why would I lie to you? Why can't you just move on? Why are you making this about you? Do you really think you're perfect? They all serve the same purpose, to make you doubt yourself. Manipulators don't need to rewrite reality. They only need to make you rewrite your own mind. Once you question your perception, your emotions, your memory, your boundaries, they've already won. The battlefield is never the argument. It is your awareness. That is where the Stoic must stand guard. How manipulation really works. Manipulators do not rely on strength. They rely on distortion. They take your best qualities, your empathy, your patience, your willingness to understand, your desire for peace, and they weaponize them against you. They speak calmly while provoking confusion. They twist context while pretending to be rational. They hide behind tone instead of truth. Their goal is never resolution. Their goal is uncertainty. Because a confused mind is a controllable one. Stoicism offers something they cannot predict or control. Not emotional coldness, not cruelty, not detachment from humanity. Clarity. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The best revenge is to be unlike your enemy." To disarm a manipulator, You don't become harder. You become clearer. You stop reacting. You start observing. You recognize the pattern and step out of it. That recognition alone dismantles their power. Because once manipulation is seen, it loses its spell. The Stoic Shield, a 3-step discipline. This is the Stoic Shield, a method you can use in any manipulative encounter. Not to fight, but to remain unmovable. Step 1. Observe without reacting. When a comment triggers doubt, guilt, or confusion, pause. Do not explain. Do not defend. Do not correct. Notice your breath. Notice your body. Notice the emotional pull. That pause is not weakness, it is power. It interrupts the manipulation cycle. Step 2. Name the tactic, silently label what is happening. That's gaslighting. That's guilt tripping. That's deflection. Naming breaks the trance. It separates their chaos from your clarity. Once named, the tactic loses emotional authority. Step 3. Respond with truth or silence. Not emotion, not justification, not persuasion. Sometimes a simple sentence is enough. I don't see it that way. I remember it differently. I'm comfortable with my position. And sometimes, silence is the strongest response of all. You do not owe explanations to dishonesty. You owe alignment to your values. Practice this until calm becomes your reflex. Because manipulation feeds on reaction, not resistance. The more still you become, the faster their illusion collapses. They may call you distant, cold, detached. Let them. A Stoic does not explain his peace, he embodies it. Seneca wrote, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Mastery is not apathy. It is choosing what deserves your energy. The Stoic Shield is not arrogance. It is self-respect. It is the quiet confidence of someone who refuses to be rewritten by another person's chaos. The final Stoic reminder. Every manipulator shares one fear, your awareness. Because once you see the game, it ends. They can twist words, fake emotions, rewrite stories, but they cannot control a mind anchored in truth. The Stoics knew this centuries ago. Peace is not found in the silence of others. It is found in the mastery of yourself. You do not need to shout your truth. You only need to live it. You do not need revenge. Your clarity is revenge. So remember this as you leave this lesson. Your emotions are not weakness. Your memory is not madness. Your boundaries are not cruelty. They are proof that you have awakened. A calm mind grounded in reason and virtue is untouchable. And when manipulators realize they can no longer disturb your inner world, they fall silent. Not because you defeated them, but because you no longer play their game. And that is the Stoic victory. Comment below. I see through manipulation. I choose peace over confusion. Because in the end, you don't defeat liars with anger. You defeat them with awareness. And awareness, my friend, is the ultimate Stoic weapon.